All right, I guess we'll get started. Only a couple minutes. I'm Steinborn. I guess I'm the co-chair of this fine group now. This is the Drupal sub-user group for, October 26th, 2016. We have a couple different things that are going to happen today. First, I'm going to ask that we get some more people to send me emails to tell me that they want to present, because we need presenters on Drupal type topics or non-Drupal topics, whatever, really, whatever you want to do. I don't know how this works, but we'll try that. Okay, I'm running the show. Mike is out today, so I don't have a not too bright with the system. I think I should do this. Bam. Oh, just bam. All right. That works. Okay, so little hiccup, but we can recover. It's only 2 minutes in. Don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater here. So what we have today are a couple of different things. I'm going to talk a little bit about modeling content using entities in Drupal 8 and how Drupal 8 really improves upon the content modeling system that Drupal 7 had. Not only in the fact that entities are now part of core, but just the idea of being able to utilize different modules to really create a good user experience for your content editors, not just your end users that are using your system. And then Emdad is going to come up and talk about accessibility for state education, and that's going to be a really good presentation as well. So without further ado, please email me and tell me that you want to talk about Drupal, because anybody who knows me knows that I could sit and talk all day long, every single day, without stop. My wife especially, and my kids, actually. Daddy, stop it, I know. It's been 15 minutes, the same topic. But anyway, the whole goal here is that this is a community group, and we need to have, Emdad is talking today, but we need more people to talk about different things about Drupal. Some sample topics that we've talked about in the past is, how SAS works within Drupal, creating content, making what your experience is as a content editor. That's a very important one. A lot of times we spend most of our development time working to increase the output of what we're creating, but not really focusing on the people that are creating for us and making it easy on them. Part of what we're going to talk about today with content modeling will cover some of that, and a really cool module that I just found that I've always looked for my entire Drupal life, and now that I have it, I'll never leave it. So yeah, there's lots of different things. Even just showing off what you've done, showing off what you didn't do, what you'd like to do, getting those kind of things out there for the group is really going to help us, build more of the stuff. We don't have ITS in with us right now. Hopefully that'll change soon. So a lot of our participation has dropped. This room was filled the first couple days, the first couple months after we did our change up and re-platform, I guess we'll call it. So And now we have 8 or 9 people in the room, which is still pretty good. It's better than the 3 that we had a few months ago. So that being said, we really live and die on user participation here, and I will literally let anybody talk about anything. Want to talk about your cat? Talk about your dog? Want to talk about your new car? As long as you can loosely somehow tie it into Drupal. You put a Drupal sticker on your cat. I mean, whatever. Okay. But really, this group will live and die by participation. Eventually, the well will run dry in my brain, and I won't have anything else left to talk about. Ha ha ha! Very funny joke. Not really, but that's that. So, without further ado, what I'd like to talk to you about today is the idea of modeling having a good content model, and creating content types that rely on other content types within your Drupal system. So we'll start off with just this idea of this basic site. So you have a basic site and you have 2 content types that you really need to have. You need news items or blog posts, however you want to refer to it in your place. And you have events, and you want to list out different events that are happening for let's say the Drupal user group. But when you come down and you really think about it, and you take those 2 pieces of content and you break them apart and you whiteboard them out and you take a look at it, you see, well, actually these have a lot of similar fields that would be associated with them. Now, back in Drupal 7 days, there was the concept of entities, and entities was a bolt-on module that came outside of Drupal, and in order to actually implement entities across the board, all of the modules that you were utilizing had to also somehow support entities, rather than with nodes. Now, I might be misspoken there, but all I know is that using entities in Drupal 7 was a much harder experience than it was in Drupal 8. So here comes Drupal 8, little less than a year ago now. There is actually a special Drupal 8 anniversary. What are they calling it? It's like a special online conference that they're having next month, and I'll link to that in the notes. We actually post all of these meetings after the fact online onto our website for the Drupal user group, and we'll send out links to the listserv after that as well. But so knowing that this has been out for a little less than a year, entities have become such an integral part. Everything is now an entity in Drupal 8. People are entities, nodes are entities, views, I believe, can be entities. Anything is an entity, which means that it is its own. Each thing is its own sort of self-sustaining ecosystem, where you can have fields associated with just about anything. You can customize just about anything within the Drupal ecosystem now when it comes to entities. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is, rather than recreating the wheel each time when you're creating your content types, you can now reference other content that has already been created that would be associated. So I have this little notepad here that I put together. Apparently, I can't make that any bigger. So let's make that all a heading type. Hopefully you can see that. So here are my content types, news and event. Well, for a news item, I obviously want to have a title. I want to have some description text about it. But I also want to associate a news posting with an agency. Well, I also want to do that with events. I also want some contact information. So, like, do you like this piece of content from this news posting? Contact this person. Or here's the contact person for this event. There's also links that can be associated with these things. Now, you don't want to have to track 100,000 links to 10 different places on your site. You don't want to create a new link on news and a new link on event. And this is getting a little bit into the weeds. Links are kind of a fuzzy area, but we're looking at this from a 10,000-foot view here. And another thing is documents. So you might have a document that you're totally excited about and you want to share it in your news posting, but you also are using that for one of your events, for maybe you have a design studio coming up. And so this new thing is like, hey, look, we have these new cool wireframes, but we are also going to be looking at these wireframes in this design studio and working out on them. So we have these 4 different pieces of information that need to be associated with both areas. So traditionally, what would happen is you'd say, all right, well, I have my news item here, and then I have those, and then I have my event, and then I have these. And each one of them is its own content type, and it has these fields within the content type. Some of you might be thinking, I'd never do it that way. I always do it the way that you said. Well, congratulations. You're amazing. And I really respect you. And I think that you guys are really good developers. But some people don't do it that way. As a matter of fact, I didn't do it that way until probably a couple of years ago. I got into a thing where I was sharing fields because entities in Drupal 7 were kind of funky. And sharing fields and features do not mix. If you're very familiar with features or unfamiliar with features, features takes a piece of content, whatever you want, it bundles it up into code, and then makes that code inject things into your database to set up your configuration and your content. And what ends up happening with that is, let's say news and events shared a field called agency. And there was just the same one field being shared between the two. Well, you couldn't share that base agency field in both features because then they would cause a conflict. Because like, well, this is a base field. I don't need this base field because I already have one and I can't make another one. So you'd have a conflict. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to create a third feature. And that third feature would be, here's all of my base fields. And then your first and second feature would only include the instance of that base field within the content type. So have I confused you yet? If I didn't, then congratulations, you're amazing. But if I did confuse you, you're about as confused as I was, in the sense that, well, why can't I just do that? Why isn't Drupal smart enough to know that I'm just reusing fields? Well, you know, give Drupal a break. That version of Drupal was made many years ago before people decided that they wanted to make content easy to manage, like exceptionally easy to manage. So here we are in this new day and age with these things called entities that we can be referencing within other places. So let's get down into it. I'm holding that coffee, tea in my hand, thinking, when am I going to be able to drink this thing? So I set up a very simple site on simplytest.me, rather than going through installing on Aqua Dev Desktop or installing on Drupal VM like I failed to do last month. And simplytest.me is just very simple. I can pop in, and now I have a fully functioning Drupal 8 site in the cloud. I don't have anything local. I don't have to worry about deleting or blah, blah, blah. And so I am going to try, and I don't know if this is going to work, but there's one module that I want to utilize here. And I just want to see if I can do this with Simply Test Me. And if so, that would be great. Bam. Okay, perfect.
What was that module that you put in?
We'll talk about it in just a second. I just wanted to test it all out and make sure that I could actually get it to work. All right, so what we have here is a base standard installation Drupal 8 site. So with Drupal 8, you get views automatically, you get entities automatically, you get admin views automatically, because used as part of core now. Everything is a view, which is really nice. So I added one module, and we'll talk about that module in just a second. But let's really quickly create our content types here. So what I'm actually going to do is, rather than creating content types that, we talked about creating the content type that says that is news and events, and then we're going to create all of those fields within there. I'm actually going to create quite a few content types here. So we're going to leave article and basic page here. So I'm going to create one called agency. And we're going to have agency name will be title, our description, and then something that would be associated with an agency. Nothing. We'll come back to agency. So we have agency created. So let's now create content. Oh, let's call it person. And person is going to have a name, and person is going to have a title. Now we're going to create. Let's make it simple. We'll remove the links. We'll just do documents. Document, field, file. I should probably increase that. Now we'll call it file. Very simple here. All right. So what do we have now? In our content types, I know I'm going kind of quick, but I think we all know how to create content types as of right now. If not, why don't you present about it? Okay. So best way to learn is to teach it. I'll tell you that right now. So we have our agency, our document, and our person fields. So now what I want to do is I want to create my news content type. So news content type, I'm going to save, and I'm going to manage fields. So with my news content type, I have, obviously my title that comes with everything, and I have my description of the event. I want a date that's going to be associated with it. It's all great. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to say that my news item is going to be associated with a person. So what I'm going to do is, in my field list here, there is this category called reference. So reference is, you can reference content, file, image, taxonomy term, user. But this other spot here is where all the power comes from. So if I actually select other, I give it a label, I'm going to call this agency. Call it associated agency. I apologize if I have any incorrect spellings. I'm not worried about my spelling at this point. And so here's again where the power comes in. So now I have, when I've created this reference to other, what I get in my field settings is all of the things that I can reference, and this list goes for quite a bit. So actually what I want to do is I do only want to reference content here. So content. I'm going to hit Save Field Settings. And now if we scroll down, here is Here's the big guns, this reference type area. So this now that I said I want to reference some sort of content, now I have the capability to filter this down. So here we go. We're going to reference it by default. Now, there's some extra power here that comes in. You can create a view of content and then reference just the view within here. So let's say you had a view that showed all of the agencies based off of alphabetical order or something. You could then reference that view right in here, and then it says, hey, there's no eligible views found. So then you create a view with an entity reference display, and then you can it'll actually be a drop down once you have an entity reference view, and then you can choose that view. Or you can add a display to an existing view. But we're just going to say, default, and we're going to check this really, really powered out. We're going to skip that. We'll come back. So what did we say? We wanted this to be associated agency. So we're just going to check agency, and we'll sort by title, ascending. So now I have an entity reference built into my news content type. So I'm actually not creating a whole separate field for an agency. I'm not picking out of that taxonomy list, because in reality, an agency is much more than just a selection of a text value from a taxonomy list. It has things that are associated with it. It could have hours of operation, phone number contacts, people, org charts, all of these different things that are associated with that. And so what we're doing is we're referencing that as in its entirety. Now, we can get into, we're not going to get into it right now, but what this does is, if you think about the possibilities here, is you now are loaded with all of these extra fields by default, because in Drupal 8, you have, well, it's in Drupal 7 as well, but this idea of display, the way that you display your content. So in this instance, for my default view, which I believe is the one that's listed here, the default display for this content, I'm actually showing the associated agency with the label above, and the format, I'm going to choose rendered entity, and then from here, this is where you choose the view mode. So where we have on the top here, we have our default and our teaser view modes. We now have a view mode here. So here's your default and here's your teaser. So if you created another view mode, modified that and said entity reference view mode, something along those lines, you could then say, well, for that, all I want is the agency name, their contact information, and maybe their email address. I don't want to show a link to their org chart. I don't want to show their fax number. I don't want to this, that, and the other thing. So you have the full capability to modify what you're displaying as much as you want. And we haven't even gotten into, and we won't today, but getting into the idea of modifying twig templates to say, you know, when this is referenced as this way, then you can display it this certain way, and add all kinds of bells and whistles to it, and go from there. So I'm actually just going to update this right now, and then I'm going to save this. So now our news content type, if we look back at our manage fields area, our news content type has our associated agency, and we're actually going to add another reference to documents. We'll call them associated documents just for sake. And we're going to go to content again. And we're going to choose document from our list, sorted by title, sure. And we have one more, right? Contact info. Well, actually, this is another thing I wanted to do. So actually, this is how this will be set up. So we had contact info, but contact info is actually no. You know what? We will. We'll do that as well. Okay. So We'll say other again, and we'll say contact for more information. It'll be contact or content of person, sorted by title, and that's good. So now we have associated agency, associated documents, and contact this person for more information. Now let's go back into our structure, into our content types, and we're actually going to manage the fields for agency. And now agency itself, we're going to add an entity reference for main point of contact, which is going to be a reference to person sorted by title. So we're creating references within references, and we've only created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 content types, but all of these things, and when you're doing this, you need to think about, you need to think about the whole structure of your site, because you may be creating something that isn't going to be reused. But if it isn't going to be reused, how could you think about how can you create something that could be reused? How could you modify that into something that is now modular, that you could pick up and slap onto something else? So we have news. We don't have event, so we want an event, right? So event. We're going to do the same thing with event. So event, we're going to have a, or did I create event? Right. News. Did I give news a date? I did. Event. Back, refresh, there's event, hi event. And we are going to, again, add another reference, and this one is going to be associated agency. No, we're going to call this one agency host. No, host agency. Yeah. As my friend Craig would say, I'm madman. All right. So here's our agency. We're going to reference our agency. We're not even going to sort. You guys know the sort now. We don't need to do sort every single time. We're going to do another one. We're going to call this one contact for more info. This will be our contact. And then our event documents, whatever. Okay, so here is our event content type, minus a date. Of event, so I need to say date of event. Drupal. Okay, so now if we go into add content, we now have a few things to add inside of here. So let's add a couple. So Google agency number 1. I'm a Google agency, and we'll copy that. Site number 1. our main point of contact. Uh-oh. I don't have any contacts in here. I don't have any people listed. Oh, all right, well, I'm gonna open up a new, no, oh man, hold on. I'm gonna, oh, my body, oh man, this is all gone. There has to be a better way. Well, luckily, there is a better way. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our structure. We're going to go into our content types. Well, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to go into extend. We're going to take a look at this module. This is the module that I installed earlier. It's called Inline Entity Form. This is the module that has made my life and my content editors' lives more rich and fulfilling. They go home and they don't hit their dog, and they don't yell at their kids, and they donate to charity. Like, it's all this amazing stuff. Like, there's the grass is greener, and there's rainbows and unicorns, and it's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about inline entity form. So we just ran into the exact problem that I've been trying to figure out how to solve since I started with Drupal, and that is, if I'm referencing something else, whether it was an existing field or existing content or whatever it was, there was always this part of me that died inside that I had to create the content first in order to reference it, because it totally blows up your flow. Like, it breaks it down. So realistically, what I would have just done there, and it's funny that I have that error in the sense that I tried to like two-finger tap the content thing so that I could open it up in a new tab so that I could then create the person contact information, then save it, and then I was going to refresh the page, and then all my stuff should have stayed in the screen, and then I was going to be able to reference that piece of content. Well, it's a happy accident. So what we have now is we have this module called Inline Entity, or Inline Form Entity, right? Inline Entity Form. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into structure. We're going to go back into content types. And we're going to take a look at our, were we in event or news? We'll call it news. So we were in, I think we were in event, or no, we were in agency. Oh, right, agency. Let's go back to agency. Back, agency. So agency has an entity reference for main point of contact, which is an entity reference back to the person. So Drupal 8 has this new concept called form display, where previously, if you wanted to change the way that a form displayed in Drupal 7, it was custom hooks, it was templates. This was not as easily accessible as it is now. And what form display is what displays to your administrative users, your content editors, the people that are logged into your site, or anonymous users if you have anonymous editing opened up to anonymous content editing at your site. So here's what we have. So obviously we have our title, our authored on, our promoted to front page, blah blah blah. But here's this thing, this main point of contact, and here we have autocomplete. Well, autocomplete was great if we had the content already in the database. So what we're actually going to choose here is we're going to choose inline entity form complex. So before we actually check that, you see now that just editing how your users see your content and are able to add it into your system is now very simple. Now it's, well, I just want to give them a checkbox because I'm using a taxonomy, right? And now I want checkboxes instead of an autocomplete because I don't want them to type in stuff and have errors and whatever. I want a select list. You know, the bane of mobile devices is the select list. Because it's got the worst user experience in the planet. The user interface is just atrocious. It takes you forever. Imagine a A to Z list of, like, I don't know, something, animal species, right? And flipping through that thing on a on a phone, right, to get to Z. Well, yeah, you got to flip through that whole thing. Yeah, select boxes are the devil's playground. So here we have inline entity form complex. You'll see right on the right hand side, boom, all this stuff just changed. Now let's before we edit that, because I'm kind of flighty and I moved from here to there really quickly. You see these different types of widgets that are available all over the place. So promoted to front page rather than a checkbox, you could have an on-off button for radios. URL alias, you just hide it. Text area summary, you could hide it. Then you have these little cog wheels that bring you to the configuration of each of these things. So let's configure main point of contact. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the form mode. So we only have one form mode that's chosen. So right here we have the default. I'm actually not sure. I don't think I've actually ever changed this. I think you can have multiple form modes, but I haven't had to previously. So default is in there. So you could override your labels. So this could be, and this will actually be cool. So let's look at, I'll just make this a singular and plural, just so that we can see where those get added into there. And now we're going to allow users to add new nodes, but we also want to allow them to add existing nodes. So we're just going to check that second box there and not force click it, because that was a terrible, oh, goodness gracious. Come on. Here we go. So we're going to override the labels. We're going to say singular. We're going to say plural. And we're also going to allow users to add existing nodes. And now your autocomplete matching used to be like starts with, but contains is really nice. So it'll do a little bit of fuzzy matching, but it's not going to do Google fuzzy matching where it's like, did you mean, you spelled the with T-E-H. Did you mean T-H-E? It's not going to do that. It's not that smart yet. And we're going to update it. We're going to save it. So now we are going to, this is what I meant to do last time. Open up a new tab. We're going to add an agency. We're going to be my cool agency 1. And your body, I'm a cool agency 1. And here's my main point of contact. Oh, so this is where singular and plural come from. So if I hit add new singular, all right. So now what you're seeing is the actual form entry for a person inside of the form entry for an agency. But I'm going to go a little bit inception-y here on you guys. I think you can handle it. Let's go into our news fields, again into our form display, because that's where we're changing how we're entering data into it. Let's go with associated agency, and let's make this an inline entity form. I've never done this before. This is live. We're going to do it live. We're going to save that. And now I'm going to add a new news item. And then my coolest news item 1. Description text. Here we go. Here's our associated agency. We're going to click on add new node. Node is the default for singular plural. Give it a title. My coolest agency 1. And give it my coolest agency 1 description. Main point of contact. Let's add a new one. My coolest contact 1. Coolest contact description. The title is Senior operator of awesome. Create. Stop force clicking. And there it is. Main point of contact. Referenced. My coolest contact 1. I can edit or remove it. I'm going to click Create Node. There's my associated agency that we know has an associated guy with it. We're going to skip associated documents and contact for more information. Save and publish. Here we go. So we totally inceptioned this thing. I don't know how far that rabbit hole goes, but you could probably go pretty deep into here. So now if I go into my content screen, I now have 3 pieces of content. I have a news item, an agency, and a person. All interconnected, all associated with my coolest news item 1. Now, what you can do, so by default, Drupal does its number of fields option inside of the structure of the content types. So if we go into the news content type and we take a look at associated agency, and we edit this. Number of values. We're just going to set that to unlimited. So now I go back to my site and I edit my coolest news item 1. Now I have add additional that comes up there. So before it was just my coolest agency, edit, remove, and there weren't any other buttons there. But now we can add as many associated agencies as we want. And I would highly recommend that you do not limit your fields arbitrarily, because you will come up to a point in time when somebody says to you, I don't want just 3, I want 5. And then they'll come up to you in a week and they'll say, I don't actually want 5, we want 6. And then they'll come back to you and they'll say, well, I don't want 6, I want 3. Well, guess what? Once you have 6 in that database, you can't go back to 3. Everybody's always going to see 6 fields from then on. So what you do is you set it to unlimited, and you tell them within an area that you only show this. And then in your view that you're displaying this content in, you say limit it to X, because you don't want to give them that power. You want to, when you're displaying the content for them, you want to show how that's going to work. So really quickly, let's just create an event now. And here's our event. So my coolest event 1. Description. Here we go. So host agency, we're going to type my, boom, there it is. My coolest agency. Contact for more info. My coolest contact. And documents, I don't think we have anything yet. But here we save and publish. My coolest event 1 with my host agency. That's what I gave it a label for, and the contact for more info. Now these are links. I didn't want these to be links. I wanted them to. Oh, I didn't actually edit those fields within that content type, the way that they display. So let's look really quickly. That was an event, right? Display. So in our display, so that was the default display for news that we were just looking at. And so that's where we get to look at this stuff here. So we're going to go rendered entity, and rendered entity, and rendered entity. But for host agency on event, I want the teaser view. And for contact for more info, I want the teaser view. Save that. back into my content types. Going to go to agency, going to manage the display. So this is a nice, quicker way to get there. Nice new drop-downs in nice, more visible drop-downs. I'm actually going to click on the teaser view for agency. And actually what I want to do is I just want my main point of contact. I do not want my body. I don't want links. This will be the rendered entity. And this one is going to be rendered as teaser. I forgot that I inceptioned this, so I actually have to edit person. So this seems like I'm going back and changing a lot of things. This is to show you these spots that have the information that you want to have, that you want to edit, because realistically, when you're setting this up, you're probably better off doing all of this while it's happening, right? So starting off on your most granular piece that is only referenced, that doesn't have any other references, creating that, and then creating something that might reference that, something that references that, et cetera, et cetera. So here we go. So we're in the teaser view for person, and all I want is the title of the person. So that's their name. Format, and we're going to have no label. All right. So now if we go back to our site, here's my coolest event. Let's go to content. Okay, so by default in news, my coolest contact shows this whole thing. So here's my coolest contact 1, my coolest contact description, and then the title is, their title is Senior Operator of Austin. But right here, what we're showing is we're showing the default view for the content. So here's the content for contact for more info. And so we're showing, this is the title of the whole content, and then the submitted by and Senior Operator of Awesome. So this is all that we're displaying versus displaying all of this inside of here. Now, you're like, oh, well, we're also displaying the title on here. This is something that you would be editing within, so you have two options. You can edit it within a view and say, show me my coolest, show me the people contact view that's just a list of people, and then you can have it display that. Wait, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I guess the main thing here would be the displaying author and date settings, which would change this. So you won't see the submitted by anymore. I think actually what we ended up doing for this information when we were referencing it in our areas, then is we then took to the Twig templates and then said, don't wrap this inside of an anchor when it's referenced within this content type. And then, so this actually right now links to, force click, links all the way to the end of the contact. So here's my coolest contact 1, and so here's like all the way down the rabbit hole is this information. But one of the other things that this gives you that we haven't really talked about here is the idea that your users hate this screen. They hate that they have to search for what they want. They want to be able to click on it, and they want to be able to edit it from wherever they are. They don't want to be fooling around with any of this stuff. So what this gives you is this layout gives you the capability to edit your content. So here's editing my coolest event. Here is editing my coolest agency. And here is editing my coolest contact. This might be dealing with some z-indexing issues here. That's probably actually what's happening. But the idea being that fixing that bug will allow you to then be able to edit all three of these things from one place. So you don't have to find, I have received probably within the last 2 months no less than 6 requests to remove X from wherever it shows up in the website. If we had done it this way, and it's mostly remove this person because they're no longer working here, or change this number to this number. If we had had this reference place, we could have edited it. We could have said, oh, well, this person isn't this person anymore. Well, I'm just going to edit this agency really quickly right here, and I'm going to change this to my agency XYZ, and now I'm going to save it, keep it published, and everything's fine. So now my agency XYZ is populated throughout the entire site because it's in your database. It's not just some random field in every single content type and every single piece of content. So the possibilities here that this unlocks are really something special. And I would urge you to, when you are creating your content model, to really think it through and to make sure that you're utilizing all of the new tips and tricks that Drupal 8 gives you. This is probably possible in Drupal 7 if you're still running on Drupal 7. But chances are you're probably not building many new sites on Drupal 7 because this is really a new site kind of thing, like starting from scratch, building this way, or recreating your content model for like a migration or something. But it's just so easy in Drupal 8 to do this. Before I kick it over to Emdad, do you guys have any questions?
This was very helpful. My name is Mike Fisher. I'm with EFC, and we're just in the process of experimenting with Drupal. And we've built a prototype site with Drupal 8. So we're going to use this technique when we go back. We were just talking about that to clean up some of our content. So my question would be, in practice, where do you make a decision if you're going to use this technique between using content types or custom block libraries that's built into Drupal 8?
I'm not familiar with custom block libraries and what that.
If you go to structure, block layout, custom block library, block type. So you can essentially, it's almost like building your own custom content type, but you're doing it. Drupal 8 allows you to do it via custom blocks now. It's essentially almost identical to content type. And I'm not sure what the limitations are. We played around with this, but I don't know. I don't have. I know that we have some custom block types on our current Drupal 8 development site that we're working on, but I didn't create them. They were created by another developer, used very sparingly on the site, but I'm not 100% sure. From what my take on blocks is that blocks are more for displaying the same exact content in different areas. So as an example, you wanted to say you were showing you have 10 agencies,
and each agency has contact information. You could create a custom block for each agency and then display it, using your configuration for where you're showing your blocks.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, show this block for this agency only on this URL pattern, and this one and this one. So it's a lot of work to manage all 10 of those. So what using a content type and then creating a view for that, a view block, basically, not an actual block within the custom block library, but a view block, you would then say, what I'm using as an example, because I'm not very familiar with view block libraries, or block libraries, that might not be a block library type situation, but just as a fuzzy example, but the idea being that you could create one view that takes a contextual value that says whatever you are on, associate the content that you're displaying, so the contact information for that agency based off of these content types. So you say, get me all the contact, or the person content for the entire site, and then when you give me the filter of XYZ agency, it will then find XYZ agency and only display you that information within a view. So contextual filters are really powerful for something like that. And then you're dealing with one view, so that it's one block on the block page rather than 10 different blocks for 10 different agencies. Again, I'll look more into custom block libraries and how they function within D8. But again, I'm not super familiar with it.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with the custom block feature. We were kind of thinking of putting our media, creating a media block, which would have, files and links that could be leveraged anywhere. Kind of offload that to the block library. I think we experimented with putting our contacts in custom block, but we're kind of beginning in this process, so it almost seems like the content type and the custom blocks are almost interchangeable with Drupal 8 now. So
yeah, I mean that's what it sounds like.
We're rookies at this point,
I mean, I think we might be better in content types.
Right.
Yeah, my go-to with Drupal is content types and views, and then if you want to create blocks and you want to manage your blocks within the page, and that blocks are really how you display certain content on certain pages easily, because they have this filter system built into them where you can say, visibility. So restrict it to only show up on these content types, on these pages for these roles. But that's as far as it goes. It doesn't have the capability to sort of take a context. So with views, you create one thing that has a context associated with it, and then you can apply it to anywhere that you want based off of this block visibility, but then it will take context and then it will modify the content that you're displaying across your site for wherever you are. So we have a view on the AG website that shows all of the press releases that have been associated with a specific agency, or a specific bureau. So it's one block from one view. So views have different modes that you can display it as. So you have a page, a block, a library, entity reference, all those things. So we have one view that's a block view, and we have it in our block screen where we say, okay, show this on every page that it says /bureau, and then it takes context within that block that says whatever that bureau name is. You then just look for that in the content types for press releases, and then show only the press releases there. That's left filter on the list, so it just filters it all out. So we have dozens of agencies. I think I've been too busy to count, but we have a lot of agencies, and each one is all building off of one view to put that through. So, as I like to tell my team, there are 100 different ways to do 10 different things in Drupal, and 90 of them are the right way. So, but join up in the Slack group. We have lots of good chats going on in Slack. The URL to sign up for that is upstateweb.rokuapp.com, and you can sign up to join our Slack group, and we have a Drupal channel in there. We'll also, you can ask, there's actually an official Drupal Slack and an official Twig Slack as well. Those are really good. When I run into bugs in Drupal, especially with Drupal 8, I'll ask it in the Drupal Slack, and it's answered in less than 10 minutes, rather than spending an hour and a half Googling something.
What was that? Upstateweb.roku.app?
Herokuapp.com. And I think I have a bit.ly URL, bit.ly/upstateweb. Yeah, bit.ly/upstateweb. We'll bring you there as well. So you just put in your email here, hit get my invite, and then it'll send you an invite to that. And it's a Slack group that I run. It's not just New York State. It's New York State. It's upstate web developers. It's downstate web developers. It's Massachusetts web developers. It's everybody. It's just a group of like-minded people that talk about all kinds of things, and we have a Drupal channel. So that's where we get a lot of our stuff from. So that's what I would do is and the nice thing about it too is that Drupal is a very community-based organization. The idea that you can basically go anywhere that has a hashtag Drupal something in it, and you can get some sort of information. It's really helpful. All right, anybody else? All right, I'm going to hand it over to Emdad, and he's going to talk about accessibility here. Again, this is something that's it's so important, and we cannot forget about this stuff. It's really, really important. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Emdad Ahmed, and I'm from New York State Education Department. And today I want to talk about web accessibility and Drupal. Back in May, New York State Education Department. Okay, so there were 350 complaints were filed with U.S. Department of Education, civil rights about accessibility, school district, and state education department websites. And as a result of that, OCR has opened around 120 investigations. And fortunately, we were part of May. We got filed a complaint against New York State Education Department website for having inaccessibility web content. And in June 2016. NYSED Council responded back to OCR, and back in August 2016, we signed a resolution agreement with OCR. So the part of the complaint was, a user went into the website and there were a couple of PDFs weren't inaccessible, and that's how everything started. And when we actually got a complaint, we started looking into our site, and we realized there were so many issues behind this scene, which we are not aware of at the beginning. So at the beginning, what we exactly required was identifying technical standard for NYSED accessibility, identifying and posting contact information for NYSED website accessibility coordinator, developing a corrective action and new content plans, OCR reporting requirement, and initial and periodic accessibility training. So the accessibility remediation, once we got that requirement set up, then we talked about accessibility remediation plan, where pretty much we broke this part into two different phases, two different components. One was a complete and initial audit, just to overview of entire site content for the all NYSED websites, which include the current static website, which still maintained by using Dreamweaver and Contribute. Drupal websites, we already have 5 to 7 websites in Drupal, and all the applications already. And then second part was develop and implement corrective action plan, because the agreement talks about we also going forward will focus on correcting all the new content, make sure they are getting posted correctly. Also on top of that, all the old content we have to clean up and also make it accessible. So for the second component, we have the remediate inaccessible content. And most of them pretty much heavily relied on Word document and PDF people put on the website. And the second one was update NYSED applications for accessibility compliant and redesign website to Drupal, because we are currently we still have around, I would say, around 30 subsites that needs to be redesigned to Drupal. And when we're talking about redesign, we are not taking the content from the old site to new site. We're pretty much breaking all the component out and going through the content and making sure how we can relate to Drupal and making different content type to utilize that feature from Drupal. Accessibility implementation, ensuring all new content posted on NYSED are accessible. That's the main goal we're trying to achieve here. That includes develop procedure to direct all the NYSED website and application accessible, and before they go live in content, there needs to be process, needs to be verified. Procedures to provide for accessibility reviews using industry standard, and a procedure to provide initial annual training for all NYSED content creator, editors, and distributors. So execution plan. Execution of plan, pretty much we have 3 steps. NYSED will execute both corrective action plans and plan for new content. NYSED will report to OCR, including providing appropriate documentation on progress, issues, complaints, action taken to address issues and complaints. And the thirdly was NYSED will clarify with OCR that its website comply with technical requirements set forth for its accessibility policy. So how NYSED came up with the complaint of resolution, pretty much we had a separate project. So we were part of redesign the old websites to Drupal before it started almost 2.5 years back. And when we got a complaint, we pretty much restructured the progress. So we pretty much got the web accessibility part of the redesign process. So we have the project structure on the top, and we break it down to 5 different components again. So we have, this is pretty much department-wise impact. It doesn't matter what kind of application we have, it has to go through the process of making sure it's accessible before it goes live. We have 2 sponsors. We have from legal sponsor and technical sponsor. We have the project management, we have technical lead, and we have the program office website webmasters, pretty much who are the one responsible for approving content before they goes on their website. So upon those 5 different areas, we have some responsibilities that goes along. So legal is responsible for agreement, NYSED agreement with OCR. They are the one contacting with OCR with all the agreement information and providing guidance and feedback to our technical team. Project manager responsible for develop and execute remediation and implementation of develop corrective action plans and plan for new content. Also, he is responsible for update and create project management documentation, including business case, scope statement, project schedule, communication, and risk and issues management. And also, he's the lead and coordinator to accessibility code technical team. So we also have accessibility code technical team who are pretty much inputting on our corrective action plans and also plan for new content. We have almost 8 to 10 people involved with that team. and we have the technical lead and ITS in general. So this is a very important part of this project because they are the one doing all the background work and upfront work to set everything up. So they are establishing and communicate accessibility standard, identify the industry standard tools, provide guidance and input for remediation, support execution of implementation, arrange and I guess kind of arrangement of an accessibility training going forward, execution of audit and training components of implementation plan, and provide guidance and support to website remediation plan. So what were the two immediate steps were taken? So we had the technical lead team and the website team leads, pretty much all the webmasters. So technical lead was is make sure ensuring accessibility policies are up to date and available, and identifying tools to test for accessibility. Where the webmasters they are identifying current practices that have led to inaccessible website content and eliminate any redesign and or just redesign them. So pretty much going to the content, making sure how they are inaccessible at the beginning, and then pretty much going through the process and remediating them. Access our websites and estimate level of effort for remediation. So some of the websites have less content, so they have to worry about too much, where some websites have too much content. So they are pretty much accessing and saying how much effort they will take to remediate their website. And then commence remediation efforts existing content. So pretty much some of the websites already on Drupal when we got a complaint. So they are also going through and making sure whether they are compliant or not. So project organization guiding principle. So everyone involved in the project has a very key role to play and responsibility for successful completion, because as a group of people, we can all come up with a solution, unless somebody practices and everybody practices, it's really hard to gain overall goal. So everyone is very keen in this project. Team leaders have the responsibility and authority to manage the project work of their team members. Communication is encouraged and critical to success. Permission to work together, communicate and collaborate within the project team is project team is to be assumed. Technical guiding principles. So remediation focuses on either redesigning website to Drupal, since we have already a couple of websites still on maintained by Dreamweaver and contributors. So redesign them to Drupal with accessible content, along with making current content accessible. And if previously migrated or already moved in Drupal, already got redesign project done, remediate the current content in Drupal websites and with accessible content. So we already started the process, I would say, middle of June, once we got the complaint at the beginning, and right before we settled down for the agreement. So for the last 3 to 4 months, we learned a lot of lessons. First of all was having a process set up, because Drupal is very powerful, and using pretty much an content author experience, very easy to go, and using workbench, work moderation, and workbench access modules really helped us out, because so far we have 3 roles where people can post content. They only have right to post content, so they are the one pretty much drafting all the initial information up. But there will be a content reviewer who will be reviewing. There could be an intermediate process person where they could review and say whether it's good or not. If it's not accessible, they go back to the person who created the beginning. So using Workbench and Workbench Access helped us out really great, and I would recommend everyone should use it, because this is the way it's supposed to have process set up in the place where if something without being checked for all accessibility checklist, nothing goes in production. Second one was TV mega menu versus the superfish. So this was another issue we came across was as we started learning about accessibility and stuff, we realized that TV mega menu has a couple of issues. One was not able to tap through the website menu bar, which we didn't realize, and our consultant found out that, and she talked about moving into superfish, and we finally did one of the websites. We changed TV mega menu to superfish, which are right now one of the site we have, which is 100% accessible, which is access site. But we are in process of changing over TV mega menu to superfish. So again, if anyone using and starting to new websites, they should look into that too. Another one we learned about configuring the editor experience. A lot of time by default, Drupal is accessible, but we came across to a lot of people are putting inaccessible content, and those are the people that creating content in Drupal. So once we realized that, and we started to investigate what exactly they're doing. They're putting image on the page without having an alt tag. They are putting links and all kind of stuff. So what we exactly did was we took a lot of access from the filter HTML part of it, so they don't have too much access to put image on the page. Instead, what exactly we did was we used the paragraph modules to create different bundles. And it worked really great because we can customize it. So we have image on the left, image on the right. You have the pull-out text. You could have just plain body text. So it was doable because of thanks to Drupal paragraphs module. Without that, it was very hard because once we give this information bundles to the users to create their content, they really liked it. Now they don't have to worry about whether they have full access, full HTML access or filter access, because using the filter HTML and using the Drupal paragraphs modules bundles, they're able to create pretty cool websites. And again, this is so flexible. We recommend our users, if they see anything other websites are doing or they want kind of capability, we can use Drupal paragraph bundles to create the features for them. Now, a lot of developer tools available online. Some of them are very powerful. Some of them are add-ons. So web accessibility and evaluation tool, which is known for Wave tool, which is around for a long time. And recently they came up with the Chrome extension, which you can just plug it in on the browser, and you can run the Wave tool, which is very convenient. You can run on any web pages, and even on the development site too. You can run that and test it out and see whether your website is accessible or not. Then there is another one, Accessibility Developer tool, which allows you to check for accessibility while you are working. So both of them are for Google Chrome. I'm pretty sure Firefox has an add-on available too. Another one was the Broken Link Checker, which is another add-on, which allows you to scan through the entire website and let you know whether you have a broken link available. Because once you have a bigger website, it's very hard for you to scan through all the links and come up with anything broken. So it's very helpful. I highly recommend anybody to use those add-ons. Then we have the ARIA Web Accessibility Initiative, Accessible Rich Internet Application, which is also now known for WAI ARIA Validator. So any website is very big on JavaScript, rich content. They have to go through the ARIA Validator, because if your content or if your website doesn't pass through, it's not accessible. Then we have there's a big list of web accessibility evaluation tool list. If you go to that website, you can see all kind of information is laid out, all the add-ons, all the websites, all the links, all the libraries available for anyone can use. Then we also found out that non-visual desktop access software, which is also known for NVDA, which is free software. You can install on your computer and you can run a website, and you can just hear back how your website is supposed to be read out to somebody having visual impaired. It is very good. They have all the features available to that. So if anybody wants to check their website, highly recommend, because unless you want to run through your website through those kind of software, you don't know how exactly information is getting back to the person who is trying to access the information. Then we have so anyone willing to work on Java applications and stuff. So there's a Java library API available, so you can plug it in and you can make your Java app accessible. Currently, I think a couple of our websites, I'm a developer from NYSED, they're using the library to test it out. And also we have, so any .NET application that you want to make sure your website's application accessible, there's information available on the link on the bottom, so you can go in and you can read through more. Now the resources. So we have a lot of resources came across. So there's only few. We have tons of them, and every day I feel like we are learning a little more. So we have the introduction to web accessibility, which is run by Web AIM. Then we have accessibility in Microsoft Office 2010. We are still using 2010, but we're gradually moving into 2016. So we start looking into accessibility features available in 2016. Then also have create accessible PDFs using Microsoft Office, PDF accessibility, Acrobat, and accessibility, and may also make accessible PDF and using Acrobat 11 Pro. And also we have some PDF techniques for WCAG 2.0, understanding what is exactly WCAG. So WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guideline, and we are going to achieve 2.0, which is double S standard at this moment. And then also we have tools and best practices in Drupal on the bottom link. So in Drupal, how we can use all the tools available by default, and we can utilize it max to practice Drupal, best standards for accessibility. Before I go on quick question, I want to just run through a couple of add-ons which I talked about so far. So this is our NYSED homepage. So first I talked about the wave tool, which is right here. I run it. It's on the left-hand side. It will show me the summary of the wave run. And as you can see, we have currently 13 errors exist on our NYSED homepage. Some of them for Google G-Translate module we're using. There's a thread already exists on a G-Translate page on Drupal.org. We don't have a patch or fix yet, so hopefully we're looking into that because we have an agreement almost a year and a half to achieve this fully compliant. So hopefully we'll have some patch coming in going forward. And other errors we do have are mainly because of the TV mega menu we are using. So once we move into the Superfish, we shouldn't have any other issues. We did have a problem with the so this errors is broken down to errors, alerts, features, structures, elements, and contrast errors. So we do have a lot of errors on the NYSED homepage. We're still working on it. Once you click on this tab, it gives you detail, and also you can filter through which version of WCAG you want to know. So since we're going for AA, you can click on it, and it's pretty much stays the same. And it just scrolls down, let you know what exactly the missing elements. Sometimes it's very hard to find out which element they're talking about. You can click on the No Styles tab, which pretty much gives you the basic plain website without no styles. And then when you click on those, it pretty much takes you the place where exactly you have any issues, which is very helpful, useful because as a developer, you need to know where exactly the issues are before you start looking for how to resolve those issues. You can look for the broken links. You can take a look at the missing alt tag right there, one of them too. So talk about NYSED homepage. So we have this side, which is NYSED.gov, and with this side is fully accessible and compliant. So once we run the wave tool here, we'll see there is no error. Because we are first of all not using the Google Translate module on that side. They don't want that, so we took it out. And also using the Superfish menu as I mentioned before, so there is no issues. Also there is no contrast errors. Again, if you want to learn more, you can click on those. This option, the little eye on the bottom, it gives you more in-depth information about what exactly it is and how to go about fixing it. So if you want to learn more, you can click on that, and it gives you what exactly it matters. And how to fix it, which is very helpful because some people don't want to understand what the problem is. So once you start reading about it and understand what exactly it is, even though you can fix the problem here, going forward, you'll be a little more careful. A couple of other add-ons I talked about was broken links. Broken links is very powerful. So this is the add-on. This is the ARIA validator. So I'll just finish this up. So if I click on that, it will give me ARIA validator summary, which tells me that pretty much I'm passed. I'm good with the ARIA validator. But if I had an error, it should come up with big summary and explaining what exactly error is and how should I go about fixing those errors. And another one was the broken link, which is this one. So if I click on that, I don't have any broken link on this website. So as it goes through, it makes everything green as it goes through, and tells me how many links are available on that page. It tells me 120, 132 of them, and all of them are good. But if we had an error, so we have a staging site, which I can run it because I know for sure there's an error, which gives me error right away because it finds out there's an error on the bottom, which is very good because, again, you don't want to have a website have a broken link. So if you click on that link, so pretty much they come up with those issues once they found out. You click on it, it takes the website, which is broken link, and then what you do is pretty much you scroll down and you'll see there before or for error right here. That's the broken link. So pretty much, if I know the URL got changed, I'll change it. If I don't feel like I don't need it, I'll just take it out. These are very handy tools for any developers to use. And one other one was, I think I forgot to mention, was this one. Yes, accessibility developer tool. So what this does is, suppose I want to inspect the page on Google Chrome. If you add this browser add-on on your browser, it gives you this audit feature where the accessibility option comes up, and you can check the accessibility on your web page just by adding this browser add-on on your browser. Okay, so and I'll just show you. As we talked about the CK editor configuration too, yes, that's where exactly we did. So we had advanced, which is the filter HTML, and we took out a lot of options from the users, which by default they usually get it. So if you take a look, so these are the ones are pretty much people are accessible when they're creating content using the WYSIWYG. Right now at this moment we are using CK editor. But these are the options we took it out. So if you take a look, they don't have an option to attach image anymore because we're giving the option using the paragraph bundles to add images where they want to. So these are very key because as you are moving on, because the purpose of our presentation today is just to reach out to everybody here, saying that we've been through this and we're still learning too. So we need a community together to help us out, and how everybody, maybe somebody else is doing something else which works really good for them or for their agency, and we want to hear about that, and also trying to use those practices in our everyday process. So pretty much I am done, and if you have any questions, you can ask me now.
How do you find, so I know that the best practice is to scan with multiple, accessibility scanners. I've found just recently that the accessibility scanner for the one that's built into the Chrome audits tab seems to be pretty lacking in actually reporting out certain errors. What tool do you think is the tool to start with, the one that's going to test for the most things, and then go back from there? Is it the Wave one that you'd recommend?
Correct. So that's just to go back to that too. It's a very good question because when we started the process, we reach out to a lot of vendors which are providing a lot of free auditing on the side, or just to help us out to make sure we have almost more than 250,000 of content on the websites. So in terms of when we start talking to them, they also mentioned that even the software they use, they are only good up to 20 to 40%. So when you use those Chrome browsers add-on or Wave tools and stuff, you are not guaranteed that is up to date. You have to know what exactly it is. That's why we recommend people to go on the websites and learn about more. W3C is very good. They have really good documentation on it. AIM is very good on those too. So yes, again, going back to your questions, there is no tools that I recommend. It's good to at least do the basic check, but again, unless you know what exactly you're doing, it's very hard because you have to know what exactly the web accessibility stands for, and what are the criteria to make sure your content is accessible and stuff too. So yes, there is no perfect add-on or any company you want to work with. They will even tell you, is this good enough? 20 to 40%. But again, they will do all the manual check too. Suppose some vendors they talked about, they have those visual impaired people, other disabilities people. They work for them who would actually go on your website and do the testing just to make sure you're fully compliant with any kind of issues that might come.
Are you gonna have this presentation available anywhere?
Yes, I just have to make sure it's accessible, and then I'll put it up. Yes, I don't want to take a bit.
Where would you put that?
I'll share the link with Eric, and pretty much he'll put it up.
We'll have it on the website, and
Okay.
we'll send a link out to the listserv.
Will your presentation have that screenshot of the items that were removed from the CPA editor?
No, I don't. If you want, I can share that too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure, no problem. Because just one other thing I just want to emphasize on is that talked about, just going back to Eric's presentation too, we always forget about our content people experience, because they are very key. Because when we're going to build a website, we just focus on how we're going to make it pretty looking, all the features, functionality, but sometimes we ignore them, but they are very key, because as long as we make the experience very easy, they'll like it, and now there'll be less issues coming in. Because again, everybody in Drupal, they're very good, because Drupal by itself, by framework, is very accessible. We have a lot of issues right now. We're dealing with Word document and PDF, as I mentioned before, and so we are trying to have a training set up, which will pretty much train people how to create accessible PDF, accessible Word document. And again, we feel confident once we have that process set up and fine-tuned, pretty much will be pretty much good, because Drupal will do the other work for us. Yeah.
Is there any areas where you were really surprised in your agency when you started to look at accessibility, something that you hadn't expected to be a problem that turned out to be one?
No, I don't think so. There wasn't a surprise, because we knew that always we had a problem with the PDFs and the Word document. But I think what exactly happened was lack of resources and stuff. We couldn't keep up with what people are putting in, because even my unit, we had a lot of people before, but over the time of period, people left. We didn't have those people in our unit that much. So yes, a lack of resources, we couldn't keep up with it. But again, a lot of issues came up with the PDF Word document. Some of them were kind of weird, because people are putting the scanned document on the website, which is not supposed to be. But again, yes, as we moved along and found out, yes, those are kind of, I was surprised, but again, people think it's normal. So for a user perspective, I guess, when they put it up, the content, they thought it's a normal process to scan the Word document and put it up on the web page, which was completely no-no if they have basic understanding of web accessibility.
And a quick follow-up question. Speaking about user, how have you, I guess every organization is different, but did you have to struggle with getting the user offices to understand the value of posting up stuff, or was there a lot of pushback where they're like, we don't want to redo documents again, we've already created this, we just want to stick it up on the website?
Yeah, there's always a constant battle when you work for agency like in NYSED. We have so many offices and stuff. But again, if we are pretty much, I guess, blessed, because our management is supporting us, and they do know that it takes a lot of effort to get this accessible. But again, a good thing is that it's a complaint. We may have to make it done. We get it done. There is no option. There is no way we can skip it. So we usually tell people that just evaluate your information out there. So some offices, they have PDFs for like 10, 15 years. If they don't need to have them, take it down, because maybe 4 years will do the work, and if somebody looking for that, they could have an email where they can reach out to somebody, and they can then provide the documentation too. So there is a lot of ways people can go about it too. We emphasizing that just worry about going forward how we can fine-tune your document and stuff, make sure it's accessible. But again, don't forget to go back, and we'll help them out too to clean up their content, and again, make it accessible. Thanks.
You mentioned using the Workbench module to kind of intercept content before it's published to check for accessibility.
Correct.
Do you have a process in place for checking uploading of PDFs and Word documents?
Correct.
How is that done?
Yes. So it's a very good question. So yes. So since we so far we have a content poster content reviewer and then a content publisher. So content poster is the one who is pretty much doing the front-end work, making content. So if suppose the process we have at this moment is pretty much if somebody attaches a PDF, they should have the information available on the web page, because you cannot have a PDF set on the web page without information available in other HTML page information. So suppose they have to have the information available on the static page. On top of that, they could have an attachment. Now, if they have an attachment, they have to. We are not sure yet because we are still debating Acrobat 9, or they have to go through the checkpoint of Acrobat using Adobe Acrobat 9 or 11, and there is an accessibility check you can run, and you can make sure your document is accessible. Yes, those are the processes they have to go through. Again, people are missing it. That's where the reviewer comes into play, and the final process, which is most likely the webmaster, will approve the content at the final step, because they are the one just making sure the information is available via two different categories. So suppose the information has to be plain HTML page, on top of that, the attachment, whatever they are attaching, and make sure the attachment is fully accessible. So yeah, so we have a process set up, but again, it's very hard because we are about to have a training in a couple of weeks, which will help because we have better understanding, but again, people who work in the offices, they're kind of still lost, and we do understand why exactly they are. So we're trying to provide more information, training out, and help them out too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Allison has a question. I'll just go back to Allison.
I was just going to add on the WYSIWYG. In the end, we decided to just force everyone to paste as plain text, and anything they want to put back, pretty much bold
Correct.
or italic. They can do a couple of limited colors, but the color picker is not there at all. They can use a couple of our theme colors, so they have to be, the contrast has to work, but in the end, there's just no way to give them any access to anything you give them, they would do, pretty much.
And just to go back, she used to be our consultant. She did all the back end work. She just left us. So, yes.
I was just, that your training that you're talking about is only open to your...
Yes, so it's limited seated. We are still finding out who are the people supposed to be getting trained first. So the way we're structuring is that all the webmasters should be part of the training, all the IT people folks, and on top of that, people are creating content, because we'll be one pretty much, be the background people will be helping people out if they have any issues and stuff. But again, content people are the one who will be running the show, putting content up, understanding what exactly it takes to get the information up on website.
Got a few questions from the WebEx as well. A couple of people have mentioned Site Improve. Did you guys do any research into Site Improve for accessibility scanning?
Yes, we did, and I think our project team right now working with them to getting something sorted out.
Somebody else asked, how did you get the agency as a whole to commit staff to the accessibility project?
We haven't. It's a constant battle, so we're still figuring it out. We're just telling the people that if you don't make your website content accessible, we are not doing the redesign, because part of the redesign is going through your content, making sure, because just to go back another question too here, a lot of time people just create a PDF document and put the website because they used to be using Contribute and Dreamweaver, where Drupal does a really good job. If you have a pretty much formatted information over this time of period you're putting in, we can create a content type. So we're also telling them what exactly could be a content type, and we helping them out to build those content type for them in a Drupal redesign part, where they, instead of putting the PDFs, we can structure the ways they suppose they want it. All they have to just put the information in where they belong, and it should look pretty good. So also we're training them, and also we are emphasizing why Drupal is very powerful when you break all the information out in different content, different components.
They're also asking if you'd be willing to share the policies and procedures that you developed, as well as your personal contact information, because they have a
Yes,
lot more
my contact
questions.
information is up there. We are available for anyone who wants to join our board, just to share with us your experience and stuff, and, learn more about what exactly we're doing. We are open for any phone call, phone conversation, because as what we believe, working as a community, that's how we grow together. Because finding out all the information, because all the information we develop, everything is internal. But again, if anybody wants to get hold of this information, I'll find a way to, share.
So then the follow-up to that would be, have you already created, or are you still in the process of creating the policies and procedures for content editors?
We still in process, so we have some draft done. We're still fine tuning it. So yes, it's not finalized yet, but I would say almost 80%. I think Allison has a comment.
I was just gonna add, I think New York State standards are not as strict as what OCR is mandating, and it's just a matter of time, so you might as well start thinking about it now and doing it correctly, because OCR, if you get any federal funding, it's just a matter of time. You don't have to be a government agency, you could be you could be a hospital, and it's just a matter of time before you're going to have to be WCAG 2.0 AA compliant.
I know one of the, it was, I think, August or July of last year, the W3C, was it W3C? No, I think it was the people who are in charge of Section 508 had a call for comments that was open for 3 months at the middle or end of last year, that they've basically finally made the move to say that they're looking to, rather than maintaining a whole separate set of accessibility standards, they're looking to just fully adopt WCAG 2.0 or 2.x, because 2.1 is actually under development right now, but to, rather than creating their own and maintaining their own, which is very out of date, is to just say, if you are WCAG, you are 508, which will be a very big step as far as accessibility goes. A lot of people that claim 508 accessible are going to be very shocked when they test their site out against WCAG. It is a much more rigorous process, especially with the color contrast checking and all the other stuff that's included that's not part of 508. 508 is like, yeah, should be sort of visible maybe, but WCAG says, no, it needs to be 0.0 blah, blah, blah from all of the surrounding elements. You need to have proper contrast added on there. So it's definitely going to be a big leap when that comes, but it is coming. They finally have this has been in discussion since 2003 or something along 2007, I think, that they were going to adopt WCAG, and finally got put out for comments last year. So it's coming.
And just to add on to that too, 508 is a sub-part of WCAG 2.0. So there's a big misconception people have that if they are compliant to 508, they're pretty much WCAG 2.0, but they are not. So it's only part of that you pretty much complying, but you have other stuff to worry about.
A question from the WebEx. Was the project manager state as staff, or a project manager, or a business analyst? Usually the business case is written by the agency and not the PM we have for ITS.
Okay, so we have a project manager internal, and again, he's the one pretty much doing all the work, putting all the documentation and procedure in place. Also, we have people from council, they're also helping us out, and also we have people from auditor section too, they're also helping us out to writing this documentation.
Less of a question, more of a note. That Site Improve also has general accessibility awareness trainings that they give, and that can be helpful to inform and communicate the importance to executives, managers, and other agency staff. Cool. As a general
Who does that, Eric?
Site Improve. You can sign up for their newsletter. hopefully you can only sign up for the accessibility ones because they have lots of newsletters. We use Site Improve at the AG's office for scanning and for SEO and all that stuff as well. All right, do we have any other questions from the WebEx? If not,
I just want to add on to one other thing is that during the last 4 months we did reach out to different other federal government agency because if you go to the website, US federal website, we can find out who exactly got complained or filed a complaint against, and we did reach out to a lot of agencies and stuff, and what we exactly learned was that a lot of people had the idea of from that moment they have to make it accessible. They can just scan further in or whatever were there. That was a big mistake they made too, and they regret. They're saying, if we knew that, doesn't matter. We have to go back and fit everything is already there. Then we could take a different route. So that's we knew that from the get-go that we have to make sure everything's accessible. But again, a lot of understanding we had was that the people thought that they could just whatever is there, they can just ignore, and going forward they can move on. But this is not the case. So yep. And again, if you have any question, reach out to me. I'm on the Slack group. I'm on the Drupal.org. You can reach out to me this email. So yes, and if you want to, reach out to me, you can reach out to Eric too. Can get to me.
yeah, and we're also looking, sort of again, pimping out our group here, but we're looking for more presentations on accessibility, real world setting this stuff up, like even if you have something to say, we could have a quick lightning talk, just have a bunch of people come up and talk about different accessibility things. We're looking at all kinds of stuff here. Now we just had one other person saying something that not to forget about manual testing, in addition to automated testing, reaching out to persons with disabilities is very helpful.
Yeah.
And then a question actually of, have you looked into having anyone with disabilities test your site and remediation efforts, especially people using screen readers?
Yes, because we have HR, a couple of people from HR from our department. They have, so we did reach out to them, and they're yes. So and again, we have a training coming up within a couple of weeks. So once we have a training, we'll fully finish up our checklist, and then we'll full blown reach out to other people. What we might also do, maybe we can have a community email sent out to a lot of other people saying that, hey, we're looking for some testers, and if you are available, have some time, just run on the website and just go. Because one good thing about Drupal, we learned that too, because since the framework is pretty much same across all the websites we built so far, if we can test one site fully, pretty much we know that for sure all of the Drupal sites are pretty much configured correctly. So we have to go through all the site and make sure it's accessible. Once we have one site thoroughly tested, we can pretty much feel confident about all other sites should be accessible.
We can send that out right through the listserv as well.
Correct, yes.
We are a subgroup within the larger web and accessibility group, the guild within New York State Forum. So that is one of our big things for this year, is to really make a bigger push for, well, not this year doesn't last very much longer, but 16 to 17, we're looking to really extend out more into accessibility so that we can get more sites to be accessible. And it's an unfortunate thing to have to say, but to get more people to care about accessibility. So that's.
And let's go back to we reach out to the group because there used to be a web accessibility group before web. I think 2010 there used to be a group pretty much come in, talk about it. All of a sudden it stopped, and that's why we reach out to State Forum. There is there any way, and if you see participation is there, people are interested, we can start putting something together. And still a lot of websites are moving in Drupal, so we can have a part of Drupal where people can talk about web access and share their thoughts, experiences, and ideas too. Because as I said before, it's very easy to learn from others than listening to talk or going through some guidelines and stuff is very hard.
Why do you recommend Adobe Acrobat over Adobe Designer?
I'll recommend Adobe Acrobat because we don't have designer licenses. If you have
Designer licenses, okay.
correct, there's license issues and stuff too. But we are focusing on Adobe 11 and 9. But again, most likely we'll stick with 11. Again, there's licensing issues too.
Yeah, I understand. 9, you can get the designer license for all one, but
Correct.
it's all actually for 11.
And maybe
But designer is much easier
yes.
to work with, and it's automatic.
Right, and that's exactly we we have that in the back of our mind too, because we wanna make sure, because we won't be the one, fixing their people's
Right.
work. So whatever exactly works for the content people, we have to go for it, and depending on the cost, what exactly associated with it.
I find a lot of Acrobat, not necessarily inaccessible, but they're
Very hard to work with. Yes, that's
they're not
what we.
functionally correct. I
Yes.
mean,
Even I was trying to
That's
make
great.
my presentation accessible. I gave up last night. Like, you know what? I'll just put another slide up which is accessible, because I don't want to put something up on the website which is not accessible when I'm talking. So yes, it's very hard to work along with it unless you really have a good knowledge of what exactly it takes to fix some documentation.
It's a lot easier to put your content into Drupal than it is to make it accessible as a PDF.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, actually, it's not. If you use Designer, it's not hard to make accessible. But the license is expensive.
So we got a couple of links for some accessibility trainings and stuff in the WebEx. We'll make sure that we post them on the website before when that gets posted. It's usually posted within a couple of days, so I'll send out the link to the listserv after that's done. But yeah, I think this was a really great presentation. I think that accessibility is such a crucial part of what we do, and it is oft ignored or oft assumed. Correct. As we've all come to realize it's definitely a bad assumption that things are accessible. Drupal's great, but there are certain parts of Drupal that are inaccessible. And as soon as you install a submodule or a module, you take that 100% thought that everything is accessible. Correct. Throw it out the window. So, thank you for your presentation, and so we'll wrap this up today. Again, if you have any questions, please email the listserv. If you're not signed up for the listserv, send me an email specifically, eric.steinborn, STEINBORN, @ag.ny.gov, and I will get you added to the listserv, and then you'll get all the information from this. So thanks again, everybody, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Senator.